And then you can unmute if you have a question or comment or anything like that. So it's moving kind of slow. 2 minutes in, and then I'm going to mute that right there. And then you can unmute if you. And then I'm going to go here.
You're drawing vertically?
Yes, no, horizontal. Well, wait a minute. Yeah, vertical. I had to think about it. Yes, it's vertical. Yes, I have my canvas vertical. Canvas or paper or whatever you choose to paint on. All right. So welcome. I'm Ronita. I am a Purposeful Point and I teach painting. And today we're painting these palm trees. Okay. So let's get started. I am on 11 by 14 canvas board. You're welcome to paint on whatever you choose. I always like to have paper towel to get rid of any excess water from my paintbrush. I grabbed the largest flat brush that I have. Normally what you would find in a store is either a 1/4 or a 3/4 inch paintbrush. And if you can find something bigger, that'd be great, but just grab, I love painting with my flat brushes as well. And so I am going to paint the sky blue. And again, I did wet my brush and touch it to my paper towel to get rid of any excess water. Don't dry it off, but just touch it. Just touch it, guys. And I want this, you decide how dark or light you want your blue. As you can see, mine's is pretty light, and it's because it's pretty watered down, and I'm mixing on the canvas. I'll dip in blue and add blue to my canvas. And then I dip my brush in white and add white to the canvas to lighten it up. And then that's how you can, you know, as far as you decide what color you want your skyline to be, how much white do you add with the blue? So that, and again, so it's just a regular true blue color, but it's just watered down. And you decide, you know, how watered down you want it. I think I'm gonna come like 1/3 of the way down for my sky. Going to be 1/3, and I am taking my brush, let me see, horizontally all the way across, because you guys know if you, wherever you stop, you usually see the paintbrush marks, and I want to avoid that. So I do go all the way across, and I'm trying to make sure I'm 1/3 of the way. And it's kind of looking like my brush is not wet enough. I wet it a little bit, and I did touch it to the paper towel, but just, it's still really wet. I don't want it to run, the water to run down my canvas. So it's really wet, but not too wet that it's going to run down my canvas. And I'm just going across back and forth, kind of blending. Now this is the relaxing part. You guys know that stroking across your canvas is pretty relaxing. And that's what I'm doing now. Just kind of, I'm blending, but kind of going across. This is your time to get it in, guys. And I want to make sure that it's just uninterrupted all the way across. Now, really, when we go on to our next color, I don't even have to rinse my brush out because the water is kind of blue, and it's okay if the blue and white is still in my brush. All right, is anyone have big plans for a trip for the summer? I know, Diane, you already went on a huge, awesome trip. One of these days. So it's it should be, I guess, summer camp, but what my youngest, he's conditioning, soccer conditioning. So he's upstairs getting ready to go do that. And then I'm going to go ahead and jump in with my whatever color you're going to make your the water. So mine's almost looks like a mint green, but that's the color that I chose. And I wanted to look any bluer, and I do plan on adding a little bit of blue in with it. But right now, and I want to get pretty much the water, this color. And I'm not going to thin this one as much as I did the sky because I want the color to be darker. It's a lighter color, so it being darker, it's okay. And just like I said, a third of a way down, I'm going to go another 2/3 of the way down. So 1/3 the sky, 1/3. Well, actually, it looks like my sky is a little bit more. I made it a little bit bigger. So I'm not going to go down too far with the green because that'll be my sand down there. And the proportions are not going to matter as far as because like I said, our focal point is going to be the trees. So the trees are going to are going to be on top of it, so it's not going to make a difference where you are. So again, I'm doing the swiping motion from one end to the other all the way across. I bring my brush so that I won't see those the paint lines if I stop. So if I stop right there, remove my brush, you guys see that white line there in the middle, that brush stroke. So I'm going to eliminate that. Just bring my brush all the way across from side to side. Now, I am going to dip my tip of my brush in my blue. Like I said, I do want it to, blend a little bit, make it a little bit bluish. I didn't rinse my brush. I dipped the tip of my brush in the paint. And I'm going to go right here to like where the sky meets the water. Make it a little bit darker. Then I'm going to kind of go back across to try to blend it a little bit. Because the paint is still wet, the green is still wet, so it helps blend it a little bit. And I'm going to dip. Now, again, like I'm doing these little extras. You decide what looks good for you for your background. And again, we're not going to put a lot of detail in the background because it will be covered. So I am going to add a little bit of blue in my water, give a little variation. I think that's so neat to do that. So I dipped it in the blue and and I'll go back and forth to just kind of blend it in like before. And I put it in 3 places. For me, it's for balance, but it doesn't have to be that. Again, it's your choice whether you even do that or not. So that's all I'm going to do with the water. I know in my original, I was doing a bunch of stuff. I try to put the sunset in there. I try to add the waves in there. I'm definitely not going to do that. Now I would say you could throw a sunset on there if you like, and it's not really the sunset, it's just you putting yellow on top of the blue. But the blue would definitely have to be dry, because if you mix yellow and blue together, you'll have a green skyline. So after we do the sand, it all depends on how heavy your paint is. My paint is really thin, like I said, because I watered it down, so it'll dry really fast for me. My light color at the top. So after we do the sand, if you wanted to put that yellow in the background, you could go ahead and put that in there after the sand. If your paint is dry. If it's not dry, you'll have to skip that. But by the time we finish up with the yellow, with the sand area, that should be dry. Like mine's, it looks dry. Let me see. Yeah, mine's is pretty much dry. No, it's a little bit wet. Now I'm not going to change it, but it all depends on how heavy your paint is. So I am switching colors. So I'm rinsing out my my brush. So I can switch to my either, like I said, a yellowish color. If you don't have a raw sienna, I do have raw sienna, so I don't have it in the small containers. So I'm using my regular. All right, we should be finished with our water. And I'm ready to grab my sienna or yellow, whichever works for you as far as your sand. And then, I mean, I know you guys have seen the pictures of white sandy beaches. So if you want to go lighter with your sand, you can add white the same way that I added the white when I was painting the sky. You go ahead and you add your brown, and then just come back on top with white if you want to lighten up your sand. Now, the thing about my sand, the way that we were painting the water and the sky, I wanted uninterrupted lines. So I would swipe from side to side. Now with the sand, I'm okay with the variations because I want a little bit of texture in the sand. Because of course, you know, usually the sand is not totally flat. So I don't worry so much about going from all the way across to eliminate the lines, because I want the texture in there. So I'm not blending as much. It is what it is. I like the texture. You guys can see I didn't swipe all the way across to smooth out the paint. There is some texture in my paint. And then if you even want more, you can dip it in your brush and kind of dab some paint. And that gives it some texture as well. Plus, I don't want it to be real heavy as well. Like when I paint, it is usually pretty thin as far as my background. So I'm going to give it a couple minutes to go ahead and dry. It doesn't have to be completely dry because we're painting a darker, and if it like blends, it's okay, because I'm going to be using what did I say? I used purple, didn't I? I used purple for my the tree trunks. So I'm going to grab some purple paint. You don't have to use purple. You can use blue because you already have the blue on your palette. But the purple just kind of, for me, it gave it a little bit of texture is all. And it's just, I'm just using a little bit because again, the only thing that's going to be purple are my my trunks, the tree trunks. See, I'm
Can you
getting
show the container of purple?
my container of purple.
Yeah, show it to us.
Oh, this is something that I ordered though.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can you use brown?
Yeah, I'm gonna put brown on top. So if you use brown or blue, the purple, all it really does is just kind of adds a different kind of dimension to it. So it's not like major if you don't put purple underneath. And I am going to a smaller flat brush. This brush, I want it to be the size of my tree trunks. So that the flat brush I'm using. Let me see if it has a number on it. And if my brushes have numbers on it, they're usually gone by now. This one looks like it says a 4, but I just scraped it, and so it wasn't a 4. I don't know what the sizes are, my brushes are. Oh, it looks like these other brushes used to have words on it, but no longer. Let me see. This used to have a number. I don't know if it never had a number or I wore it off. So I don't know the number of the brush. But basically I grabbed the width that I want my trunks to be, the tree trunks. All right. And now I'm going to paint those tree trunks. I try not to be completely vertical. They don't have to be completely straight, guys. They don't have to be straight. So I talked a while and got my next paint color. So that allowed the surface of my sand to kind of get to dry. It's not totally dry, but enough for me to start painting on top of it. So again, I wet my brush, I touch it to my paper towel, get any excess water, and I'm going to decide, I'm going to put 4 trees. You decide how many that you want. And so now you got to decide on placement. Okay. And I'm going to start like midway as far as the sand, the bottom of my canvas and where my sand begins. I'm going to start kind of midway there and kind of bring it up. And it's real thin, but it still gives me my base. So I can go back and put some more paint on there. Now it might look straight to you, but I did curve it just a little bit because I believe most of these trees are not straight up and down. So now I'm just putting another layer of the purple on there or brown, whichever you choose. It helps with the purple for, I know my browns are they are opaque, but a lot of times it seems like they're so thin, but there's one. And then the second one, same thing. I'm going to curve it just a little bit. And you decide how close you want them. They don't have to be this close. There's no, well, I put about 2 layers of paint on there. My third tree, it does curve just a little bit more than just a little bit more. And I did vary the size on that one. It's a little bit shorter. Again, I just need, like I said, one swipe, second swipe, because we're going to paint on top of it. So it doesn't have to be a solid blue. You can still see my background actually through my paint. Because like I said, it doesn't have to be solid. You guys, everybody tend to want to make everything opaque. But when we're layering, It doesn't have to. And I love layering because it gives it texture and dimension. So you don't have to have solid, everything that we're doing except for our background, but even still we're painting on top of it. Everything is pretty much layered. So don't have to worry about making it a solid, perfect shade. So here is my last tree. And again, you guys paint as many as you like. I'm going to bring this one up just a little bit higher. Start up here because it got thin there. About 2 layers of paint. That's about it. And there are my trees. And I'm not going to rinse my brush out. I'm going to start making the tops of painting the tops of my my trees. And I used blue. You can go ahead and start with your green. Like I said, I just layered it. And let me see. And it doesn't matter which one you start with either. Maybe I should start over here since that was where I started. It looks like a bird, doesn't it? So it's not perfect. It's a skeletal because we're going to put leaves on it and fill everything in. Okay. And actually you can use the blue or the purple. Again, it was just kind of gives it dimension. It's starting to look like windmills. So this one, I made it a little bit shorter, so that works out. Starting to get all mixed up. All right, looking good, looking good. Different to my bucket. Grab one of these, this brown. Like I said, these ones in my bucket are either Apple Barrel or Craftsmart. These are paints that I grabbed when I first started painting. I don't use these for the paint parties, although the paint, it looks good or whatever, but I do prefer a little bit better quality than these. Not that these are bad or whatever. I know people who still use them and they have good results. Because as you can see, it looks good. So now I'm grabbing my paint, my brown. So if you use brown, now you're just gonna put another layer of brown on it. But I'm gonna put this brown, it's gonna be on my top of my purple. And the purple's probably gonna still be kind of wet, but it's okay. I'm okay with it blending a little bit. Again, it just kind of gives it a little bit of a character, a little bit of dimension. But because it's still wet, it's coming, there we go. Okay. So there's no right or wrong with that one. If you wanted to do black, your trees to be black, that would be fine as well. And there's already one layer down, 2 layers with the purple. I'm just coming back on top with the brown, and I'm putting 1 layer. I put a second layer, but again, as you guys know, if that first layer is not dry, you really just kind of push and paint. But actually this paint is still covering pretty well. So I put that second coat on there. It still looks okay. So I'm just putting basically maybe 2 layers of brown on the purple. It may or may not stay in place. Just depends on your paint. All the paint brands, you know, they're so different. And I do want to add a little bit of texture to the trees as well. Oh, I forgot to add in, if you guys wanted to add that yellow in the background, it's kind of too late now with the trees on top. But if you paint it again, before you put the trees on, you kind of throw that that yellow in the sky up there. But you have to make sure it's dry so that it's not blending. So your yellow and blue don't blend. Hey, you're gonna be late. You guys need to leave now. Jake, come on. Now I'm going to, like I said, I talked about putting a little bit of texture in the trunk. And I'm just going to kind of do like a, kind of touch the brush. I'm still using brown. It may or may not show up. So I was painting vertical, and I'm just going to touch my brush and kind of make a horizontal line in the trees. I'm going to put this in here. I'm going to hold it up to the screen so you guys can see what I did. So it kind of gives it some, you know, the palm trees, they're not even or like smooth trees. So I just put a little texture in there. You can see on this one here, just added a little bit of texture. And again, they don't have to be exact. They're not. Basically, I just kind of dipped it in my brown paint and just kind of touched it. Go on up. I'll kind of give it just to Atherton to school. Are you coming back?
Yeah, but my wallet's in my backpack. I don't feel like taking it out.
Okay, so there. Again, it's just, I'm using my flat brush and just kind of touching it to make it, give it the little variations. Or you're welcome to take a pointer brush and paint just one swipe across. I'm not like putting a lot of focus on them, because we still have another layer to put on top of there. So they don't have to be exact. Nature's not exact. And this tree, sure enough, the tree, and again, also we are painting abstract. So there are no palm trees with purple trunks. So I am washing my brown out of my brush. Washed all my brushes out, but they still look like they have a lot of paint in them. They look kind of stiff. I need to soak them in some soap overnight. That's what I do. Kind of soak them in a brush cleaner. Well, the brushes I use for my paint parties, of course, they all get soaked overnight in the soap, but my personal brushes, they tend not to get soaked because I'm using them at home and just kind of leave them, rinse them out, and then I lay them on the surface after I'm finished painting. So next, we're going to go for our green. So I have, it looks like this is an apple. Well, it sounds like most of the paints I've been grabbing are apple barrel, but I just have like a Kelly green. You can use any green because I don't even think this is not the green that I used on my example. So just whatever kind of green. Looks like I used a darker green. I'm going to see if I like this one, if it's dark enough. And then of course I have the lighter green that I'm going to come back on top with. Okay. Put that on my tray. Yeah, this is a very light green. See if I like it. All right, so we're gonna start on these tops and see if I can explain to you how I'm gonna do it. And like some people use a fan brush, but the fan brush to me, unless I could get a really thick bushy fan brush, this one gives me more. I'll start up here so you guys can see. So it's kind of, you guys know what a kind of like the palm tree looks like. And I did the leaves like that. Kind of let's see that I did it like that. Now, not so much the leaves up there because we're kind of gonna angle them kind of down. And you see that I just take the brush flat and I come down from the blue line, from the blue paint stroke that I had. I do come at a little bit of an angle. I arch it up a little bit. Can you guys see that I do that? And I'm going to do that to all of my blue ones. Just take that green. You guys have the, did you get it? Does it make sense? And it's okay if I'm gonna overlap some of them for sure. And it looks like I'm starting, make sure you start on the blue. It's okay to cover up that blue. Although it looks like I didn't cover them up. Let me go back. You can cover up that blue, kind of swiping down. I had to get up. I'm getting into it now, guys. Well, actually, I'm just working from the top, so. So I start at that blue and I curve a little bit and swipe down. Kind of almost like I'm getting ready to paint in a circle, but I don't, like not a full circle, but almost kind of a half. And of course, and like I said, they are overlapping. It's okay. You guys are, this is an apple barrel. It has really great coverage. So I'm gonna have to see, yeah, it has great coverage. So I do like it. I don't have anything bad to say about it at all. It's really has great coverage. As you can see, some of my leaves are overlapping the tree trunks. It's okay. So they are kind of overlapping pretty good, but it's all right. Probably if you wanted them to be separated more, you'd have to kind of spread them out more. But I do not have mine spread out. Great start. All right. And everybody is concentrating on those branches. And again, guys, they don't have to be solid because we are layering. I am going to come back on top with a lighter green. And then even, you can see I even added some more white as well. So again, remember, they don't have to be a solid because we're going to be layering. I love the way the effect that the layering does and gives to it. So, but before I add a second layer to the lid, you can see that I put a little bit of brush at the base of the trunks. So that's what I'm going to go to next. Why I give, they don't, again, since I'm layering, putting another color on top, they don't have to be completely dry because it's okay to blend, but I'm still going to let it kind of dry a little bit and come down here and work on the brush around the base of the tree. And the way that I do that is I turn, instead of painting with my brush horizontal, I turn it vertical and swipe up or down, but I swipe up to give it that, kind of brush around the tree look. Some on the tree, some not touching the tree. It's kind of like a cluster, like it's a cluster of, and see I have my brown is still a little bit wet at the base, but that's great because I like that it blends a little bit, gives it a little bit of different color. And you decide how close you want it around the base, or if you want some kind of spotted, a little bit away from the trunk, just kind of around. You kind of decide how much of a cluster big of a cluster that you want. And it's okay. As you can see, some of my brush is on top of the trunk. You don't have to like only do it on the sides, okay? Because although it's abstract, but if you saw that cluster and it it wouldn't, you know, you wouldn't see it where it's not touching the trunk, it's only on the sides. So I want to avoid that unnatural, even though it's we are abstract, I want to avoid that kind of unnatural look. Did anybody use, like I said, with the trees, you could have used a, what brush am I talking about? A fan brush. This is a fan brush that would be a great way to make palm trees with the fan brush. But once that brush gets wet, the bristles for me, they get pretty thin, and I like a more full coverage. So I just used my regular flat brush. But but you can grab a fan brush that has a that's kind of thicker. It's full. The bristles are more full. I just have not been able to find one. I've seen them, have not been able to find one. Okay, so I guess I shouldn't say that. I could probably find one, but I haven't found one in my price range. So yes, I could probably find one, but I'm like, hey, do I really want to buy that when I know that I could make it happen with the flat brush. So guys, next I'm going back up to the treetops and I'm grabbing this lighter green. If you don't have a lighter green, you can just grab, mix a little bit of white with your green. Okay. So this thing that I have, this is Apple Barrel and it's a limeade. I want to say, like, when I bought these paints, it was like a bundle and all these paints came in it. I think like I ordered it offline off of Walmart because Apple Barrel is, I won't say it's a Walmart brand, but that's the only place I've ever seen it sold is in Walmart. So, but I'm not positive that's the only place that you can buy it. All right, so I have my lighter and I'm going to do the same thing that I did with my, so no, I'm not going to do the same thing because I don't want to completely cover my green, but I think I'm going to go, let me see. I feel like that what I'm doing now kind of covers up everything and I don't want to completely cover it. I'm going to switch brushes. Go with my smaller flat brush. See if I like it like that. See how that, or I might just have to do I like that? So I like it where maybe I'll just turn it, instead of painting flat, turn it vertical again and just kind of put gotta put some paint on my brush first. But kind of paint some you guys can see that I'm just kind of separating it. It's not full coverage like I had with the getting close, like I did when I used the original green. I'm kind of that was kind of full coverage. It's not what I was going for, but I just want to I want some space in between so that the color underneath will show through. That didn't go so good on that one, so don't use that one as my example. So, but I am turning it so that I can have, this is what I mean. So to make sure that I can still see the colors underneath, the green underneath. I don't want to completely cover it. So I am just kind of putting strokes in the paint. Put little swipes, make sure I got all of them. This one still looks, it doesn't have much. But again, same direction that I used with the lighter, the darker green, but just I left some space so that the darker green can kind of still shine through. I'm also going to take that same green color and add it to the patches of grass that I have at the base. Again, just some quick swipes. Now, because this was kind of separated, I don't have to be right on top. I can kind of fill in some gaps. Now our finishing touches are going to be the, let's see, what did I do? Looks like I added something, another color. I'm going to see if that's the right color that I've added in there. Yeah, no, that's not it. I'm going to grab some white. Going to grab my white. Same brush that I was using with my the lighter green. I'm going to use white if you look at my example. Now my example is a little bit darker because I did use a darker green underneath. You can still see the blues and the purples. You can also see that I put a little bit of white in there. That also gives the leaves, the tops of the trees, a little bit more dimension. And so that's why I'm going to grab my white. I'm still using my flat brush, you guys. If you ever feel the need to switch and do a different size brush, that's fine. But I love my flat brushes, and I'm always going to go to there first. But I am going to put a white line along the tree, also to give it dimension. I use my flat brush. If you feel the need to switch over for a pointer brush to do this, it works better for you, you can do that. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I dipped it in there, but I just wiped a little bit off on my tray just to make sure I don't have too much white. If I want more white, I can add it. But if you go with too much, you can't take it away. So I took some of it off. I'm going to bring it up the side of the tree. You guys see that? And I do like it. It is kind of thick. I do like it. I'm going to stick with it and do it again over here. See that? Still wiping it off a little bit, but okay. And see that one, I had a leaf there, a branch, so I skipped over it and I went up, but I still make sure that I have that along the tree. Up. There we go. Look at that. See how those trees just popped right out, gave them a lot of dimension to do that. And I'm going to continue with that white. And now I went in and put that green in there. I'm definitely not going to put nearly as much of this white that I would do with the green. It's going to be smaller strokes, and I'm going to concentrate on the tops of the branches rather than making sure that the white is throughout the branches. So I always, for some reason, starting over here, but just a few at the top. See, guys, that I'm adding that little bit of white at the top. Not nearly as much as I've you guys see, I'm just putting a little bit on the tops of I'm not putting as many in there as I did with the I'm putting a little bit on each one, but again, just a little bit. Guys, can you see how it just changes? You throw that white in there, definitely add some dimension to it. Just a couple, few strokes in each one of them. Not trying to cover anything up. Let's see, did I get all of them? A little bit in each one, just a little bit, just a couple swipes of my brush in each one. Okay. And kind of concentrate on the top of those as well. Okay. And I don't want to miss the ones, a couple white swipes with the brush, the ones at the base of the trunk as well. All right, I almost feel like I'm at the beach. Oh my goodness, how tropical. While you guys, ladies, are finishing up on the Zoom, I'm gonna go ahead and just disconnect from YouTube and say, YouTube guys, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. And I would love for you to send me, it should be in the comments, my email, a picture of your paintings.